Now that's a hell of a lot more than he spent on chocolate and toys, but it's up to him what he spends his money on, isn't it? So we copy that. Next line, right? And we just change spent on toys for spent on comics. So now, what do we expect to see? Well, we expect to see that, but 1,000 less, don't we? 3,780. Run it. 3,780. Awesome. So now you might be thinking, well, every time he buys something different, we have to declare it there, put the number, and then copy and paste this line. Yeah, we do, basically. But you could be a bit sneaky on saving these three. You could make one variable to hold them all. So you could say int total money spent this week equals, and obviously now you just want to add them together, right? So you just do that plus that, money spent on chocolate plus money spent on toys plus money spent on comics must equal the total money spent this week, right? So now we don't need these three lines. We get rid of the last two, and we change money spent on chocolate to total money spent this week. And we run that. What do we expect? Identical functionality, but neat a little bit of code there. Saved ourselves a couple of lines. And that's the way it is. We have these for defining what he spends in the week. And you know, then we could go on to we can call that week A. This could all be week A. We could do week B, week C, and then week D, and then we have money spent per month. But I want to explain a little bit here quickly about something that is important for variables. When I say it equals it, what you should think of it as, money spent on chocolate takes the value of 120. Doesn't equal it, not like in the traditional sense. Just assume that money spent on chocolate is an empty thing, and then when you give it 120, it's holding 120. It takes the value of 120. So total money spent this week takes the value of money spent on chocolate plus money spent on toys plus money spent on comics. Now you can actually put brackets around that to make it a bit easier on the brain, because when you do that, now you can think of that as a whole, one number. So the mathematics is that plus that plus that, and that in one bracket equals that. Now the brackets is up to you, but later on you actually do need to use them to get complex things right. You know, like if I was to put times 5 in there, because we're doing another calculation, you would wonder, is the times 5, is that just on the comics, the money spent on comics, or is it on the whole number? I don't want to confuse you with that, but brackets, be prepared for them in the future, because you can make numbers into a little unit by doing it. Now, I think that's quite a lot of what we can do on integers. Now there's some other little tricks. Let's say that it costs you, well, let's say that we don't like this, bank equals bank balance minus total money spent, because it just seems a bit weird. I know that's Java, but it does seem weird on the brain to think bank equals bank balance. Well, there's a nicer way you can do that. This is a shortcut, and you should only use this if you fully understand it, but it's an exact substitution for this. So you can take away bank balance and the minus and put minus equals, and that just means bank balance equals bank balance minus whatever you give it. So when we run this, it'll be the same value, but we have used a little trick there. Now I would suggest not using this trick until you fully get your head around it. So I'm going to go back to what we had, like that. Actually, I'm going to redo that, and I'm going to copy it so we can keep it as a comment, so that when we, if you're writing the same code as me, and you do this, and you do the slashes like that, and you paste that little trick there, so you can remember it, and you just put, in the comment afterwards, just put trick, we can use this instead of bank balance equals bank balance minus total money spent this week. You know, it's just a lot more to type. Bank balance equals bank balance instead of bank balance minus equals 2. So that's the trick. And similarly, if it cost us just £1, one whatever dollar or anything, well, for a second, right? Let's say one of the bills is in cost of account maintenance, right? So it's an online bank. It charges him one of whatever every month. So in that case, let's say you want to deduct that from your bank balance. You would traditionally, in the normal way I just mentioned, bank balance equals bank balance minus 1. But it's not 1 because that could change. So we want to take cost of account and put that there instead of the 1, because then we can change it up there if we want. Now that does seem like a lot of code for just taking off 1, isn't it? Bank balance equals bank balance minus cost of maintenance. But if we did the little trick minus equals to, then that's not so bad. And if we knew for certain it was always going to be 1, always, we could just do another trick, which is bank balance minus minus, right? So we've got two versions of it here. First of all, I'll take these out and I'll do the normal way. So we just want the exact same program, but we want to work out what it will do if the bank balance costs 1 every week, right? So we'll run it and we'll get 3779 because it costs 1. Oops, well, I've actually made an error there. I've put bank balance equals minus 1, and as you can see, Java allowed me to do that. Shouldn't have done that. It should be bank balance equals bank balance minus 1. Java allows me because that's valid. So you've got to be careful about that. I just did it there, and I've been doing this for years. So 3779. That's what we'd expect, right? That's the normal way to subtract 1. Now let's use our smarter way. Cost of account maintenance is 1, so we expect the same result. Yes, and as you can see, by putting these slashes in, that turns off that line. That's what I'm doing there. It's not executing. So now we just executed that one, and that came up with the same result. So if we take that one out, don't execute that, and we put this one back in, it'll be the same result. Now what I'm trying to demonstrate is that bank balance minus minus literally means bank balance equals bank balance minus 1. And there we go, same result. And similarly, you can take bank balance plus plus like that, and that adds 1. So we'll actually see it'll say 3780 because it'll take 1 off, but then it'll add another 1, right? And that, as we can put in the comment here, this is literally the equivalent to typing bank balance equals bank balance plus 1. Now they're just little shortcuts, little tricks, mostly because nobody wants to be typing bank balance equals bank balance plus 1 all day. These little tricks are just there for your convenience. Make the code less bulky, easier to read. You don't have to explain to someone what you're doing. It's not hard to see. And you might have heard of C++, which is a sort of joke on this incrementer. That's what that is. That's an incrementer, right? Plusing like that, plus plus increments the number by 1. Minus minus decrements the number by 1. And C++ is supposed to be an increment of C, so they've called it C++. So it's actually a little in-joke C++. Now, I think we've covered integers quite nicely. I want to do a little bit on strings and a little bit on booleans. And I've noticed this is getting up to half an hour, so I don't want to bore anyone with this, but I just want to do it in a nice slow fashion so that they can get used to it. And you can pause this and go back anytime you want, of course. So we've covered the integer stuff there, right? And we've covered the printing of strings here. Now I want to show you a few more tricks with strings. Nothing too complicated. Strings have actually got a lot of things they can do, but we don't want to mess it up too much. We don't want to go too far because strings can get confusing. That's what I'm trying to say. But we can say